The unexpected discovery. The vast expanse of the outer spiral arm had always been considered a backwater region by the Galactic Confederation. For 3,000 cycles, the great powers of the galaxy had focused their attention on the dense star clusters near the galactic core, where ancient civilizations thrived and resources flowed like rivers of liquid energy. Few bothered to venture into the sparse, lonely reaches where young stars barely illuminated their primitive planetary systems. Commander Thale Vex 9 of the exploration vessel, Wandering Thought, had drawn the short assignment. His ship, a sleek research cruiser equipped with the finest sensors the Cathari could manufacture, drifted silently through the darkness between star systems. The Cathari were known throughout the galaxy as the premier explorers, their crystalline forms perfectly adapted for long-duration space missions. Thale's translucent body pulsed with a soft blue light as he reviewed the sector maps displayed in his neural interface. "Another empty system," muttered his science officer, Nala Christine 3, her voice resonating through the ship's harmonic communication system. 17 star systems surveyed, and nothing more interesting than some basic mineral deposits and primitive bacterial life. Thale's optical sensors shifted to examine the next coordinate in their survey pattern. "The Confederation pays us to be thorough, not entertained. Log the findings and prepare to jump to grid reference 2847 Delta." But as the ship's massive quantum engines began spinning up for their next hyperspace jump, something unexpected happened. The ship's communication array, normally silent in this remote region, suddenly burst to life with electromagnetic chatter. Not the usual cosmic background radiation or pulsar emissions, but something far more intriguing: organized, patterned signals that could only mean one thing. "Commander," Nala's voice carried a note of excitement that had been absent for weeks. "I'm detecting artificial transmissions from the third planet in System 2847 Delta. Multiple frequency bands, complex modulation patterns. This isn't random noise. Someone down there is broadcasting." Thale's crystalline form shifted to a more alert configuration, light pulsing faster through his neural pathways. In 3 millennia of galactic exploration, discovering a new spacefaring civilization was the ultimate prize. Most species were identified and cataloged long before they developed interstellar travel. To find one actively communicating across electromagnetic spectrum suggested they were on the very threshold of joining the galactic community. "Reduce speed to sublight and approach the system cautiously," Thale ordered. "Begin full spectrum analysis of those transmissions. I want to know everything about whoever is down there before we make contact." As the Wandering Thought glided into the system, Thale found himself amazed by what their sensors revealed. The third planet was a brilliant blue marble, swirled with white atmospheric patterns and dotted with brown and green land masses. But it wasn't the planet's beauty that captured his attention. It was the sheer volume of electromagnetic activity surrounding it. "Commander," Nala reported, her excitement now barely contained. "This is unprecedented. I'm detecting thousands of individual transmission sources. Radio waves, microwave bursts, even primitive laser communications. The entire planet appears to be connected in some kind of global information network." Thale moved to the main sensor station, his crystalline limbs interfacing directly with the ship's systems. The data flowing through his consciousness was staggering. These beings, whatever they were, had achieved something most civilizations took centuries to accomplish. They had connected their entire world in a web of instantaneous communication. "What about space-based activity?" Thale asked, though he suspected he already knew the answer. "Multiple artificial satellites in various orbital configurations," Nala confirmed. "Some appear to be communication relays. Others are clearly observational platforms. Commander, based on the technological signatures I'm reading, this species has achieved spaceflight within the last few hundred of their planetary cycles." The implications hit Thale like a solar flare. Most species required thousands of years to progress from basic electronics to orbital capability. The Cathari themselves had taken nearly 2 millennia to develop their first space stations. Yet these unknown beings had compressed that timeline into a fraction of the standard development curve. "Begin linguistic analysis of their transmissions," Thale commanded. I want to understand what we're dealing with before we reveal ourselves. Over the following days, as the wandering thought maintained its distant orbit, the translation computers worked tirelessly to decode the alien communications. What they discovered challenged everything the Galactic Confederation thought it knew about species development patterns. The beings called themselves humans, and they inhabited every continent of their planet. Unlike most spacefaring species that evolved from single population centers, these humans had developed multiple independent civilizations that had eventually merged into a complex global society. Their transmissions revealed a species driven by an almost manic curiosity about their universe, constantly questioning, exploring, and pushing the boundaries of their knowledge. "Listen to this transmission I intercepted from one of their space installations," Nala said, playing back a decoded signal. The voice that emerged from the speakers was unlike anything in the Confederation's xenobiological databases, melodic yet forceful, conveying complex emotions through tonal variations. "Today marks another milestone in humanity's journey to the stars," the human voice declared. "Our Mars colony has achieved food production sustainability, bringing us one step closer to becoming a truly interplanetary species. But this is just the beginning. The outer planets await, and beyond them the stars themselves." Thales' optical sensors widened in amazement. "They're already establishing colonies on other worlds in their system?" "Multiple installations from what I can determine," Nala confirmed. "Orbital habitats, planetary outposts, even deep space monitoring stations at the edge of their solar system. Commander, in less than a single millennium, they've gone from primitive agriculture to multi-planetary civilization. The progression rate is simply impossible according to all our development models." But the humans continued to surprise them. Their intercepted transmissions revealed a species that seemed to thrive on challenges that would cripple other civilizations. When faced with environmental disasters, they developed new technologies to overcome them. When confronted with resource limitations, they turned to the stars. When their population grew beyond their planet's capacity, they simply expanded to other worlds. Most remarkably, they appeared to do all of this not as a unified hive mind like the Zeftai, or through rigid caste systems like the Morden, but as billions of individual beings somehow coordinating their efforts through their global communication networks and shared cultural values. "I've been monitoring their entertainment transmissions," Nala reported during their 5th day of observation. "They create fictional narratives about exploring space, encountering alien civilizations, and overcoming impossible odds. It's as if they're culturally preparing themselves for exactly what we represent." Thale processed this information, his crystalline form pulsing with deep thought. "Compile a full report for Confederation Command. Include all our observations, linguistic analyses, and technological assessments. But before we transmit anything..." He paused, making a decision that would change the course of galactic history. "Prepare a first contact package. It's time we introduced ourselves." The decision to make direct contact was not taken lightly. Confederation protocols required extensive observation periods and careful cultural assessment before revealing the existence of galactic civilization to a developing species. But something about these humans suggested they were already prepared for such contact, perhaps more prepared than the galaxy was for them. Thale crafted the message carefully, using the human's own mathematical and scientific concepts as a foundation for communication. The transmission was sent on multiple frequencies, formatted in ways that would clearly identify it as artificial and intelligent in origin, but non-threatening in nature. The response came within hours, far faster than Confederation analysts had predicted for a first contact scenario. "Greetings, visitors from beyond our solar system," the reply began, transmitted in flawless mathematical harmony. "We are the human species of planet Earth. We have been monitoring your ship since you entered our system 5 days ago and have been waiting for you to make contact. We welcome you in peace and friendship, and we are eager to learn about the greater community of intelligent life in our galaxy." Thale's entire crystalline structure flickered with shock. Not only had the humans detected their cloaked vessel, something their technology shouldn't have been capable of, but they had been monitoring the wandering thought since its arrival. More disturbing still, They seemed to have expected this moment, as if first contact with alien intelligence was something they had been preparing for all along. "Commander?" Nala's voice carried a note of concern. "How did they detect us? Our stealth systems are rated against Confederation military sensors." Before Thala could respond, another transmission arrived from the planet's surface. This time it included visual data, the first time they would see what humans actually looked like. The image that appeared on their screens was both familiar and utterly alien. The beings were indeed bipedal, as their initial scans had suggested, but their form was unlike any known species in the Confederation. They stood upright on two legs, with two arms extending from their upper torso, and a single head containing their sensory organs. Most striking were their eyes, forward-facing like predators, but containing an intelligence and curiosity that seemed to burn like small stars. The human in the transmission was a female, based on their preliminary biological analyses, with dark skin and hair that reflected the light of their yellow sun. When she spoke, her expression conveyed warmth and genuine excitement. "My name is Dr. Elena Vasquez, representing the United Earth Council's First Contact Committee," she said, and Thala realized with growing amazement that such a committee's existence implied they had been planning for this moment. "We understand this must be as surprising for you as it is for us. We propose a series of carefully structured exchanges to begin building understanding between our species. We have much to learn from each other." Over the following weeks, as formal first contact protocols were established and the initial cultural exchanges began, Thala found himself increasingly amazed by human adaptability and ingenuity. They approached each new piece of information about galactic civilization, not with fear or overwhelming awe, but with the same boundless curiosity they applied to everything else. When shown images of other Confederation member species, they immediately began asking questions about biology, culture, and technology. When presented with basic galactic history, they wanted to understand the political and economic systems that had evolved over millennia. Most remarkably, when offered access to certain technologies that could accelerate their development, they carefully evaluated each option for its potential impact on their society before accepting or declining. "They're not behaving like any developing species in our records," Nala observed during one of their daily briefings. "Most new contact civilizations either become completely dependent on our technology or reject it entirely out of fear. These humans seem to be selectively integrating only what serves their existing development path." Thale nodded, his crystalline form glowing with deep contemplation. "Send a priority transmission to Confederation Command. Include everything we've documented about human development patterns, their technological progression rate, and most importantly, their apparent readiness for galactic contact. I have a feeling the Confederation is going to want to pay very careful attention to these humans." As he composed his report, Thale couldn't shake the feeling that he had just witnessed something unprecedented in galactic history. Humanity wasn't just another species ready to join the Confederation. They were something entirely new, something that might change the very nature of galactic civilization itself. The response from Confederation Command arrived with unusual speed, carrying priority encryption and signed by the High Council itself. The message was brief, but carried implications that sent crystalline shivers through Thala's entire form. "Maintain position and continue observation. Full evaluation team deploying immediately. Do not, under any circumstances, provide humans with faster-than-light travel technology until further assessment complete. Initial reports suggest this species may represent either the greatest opportunity or the greatest threat the Confederation has encountered in 3 millennia." As Thale read the message, he gazed out at the blue planet spinning peacefully in the void, its surface teeming with billions of these remarkable bipedal beings. Whatever the Confederation's evaluation team would discover about humanity, he was certain of one thing: the galaxy would never be the same again. The test of resolve. 3 months had passed since Confederation Command's evaluation team arrived in the Sol system, and Director Kayla Morthax of the Strategic Assessment Division found herself facing the most complex first contact scenario in recorded galactic history. Her mobile command center, the analytical depth, maintained position at the edge of the human solar system while her team conducted the most thorough evaluation ever undertaken of a developing species. The preliminary reports had been disturbing, enough to warrant the personal attention of 3 High Council members. Species development patterns that typically took millennia had been compressed into centuries. Technological advancement curves that should have been smooth progressions, instead, showed sudden leaps that defied conventional understanding. Most concerning of all, humanity showed signs of being naturally prepared for interstellar conflict in ways that worried even the Confederation's military strategists. Director, reported her chief analyst, Benth Krell-7 of the Yagmari Collective. The psychological profiles are unlike anything in our databases. These humans demonstrate unprecedented levels of adaptability under stress, but more concerning is their apparent instinct for rapid militarization when faced with potential threats. Kayla's 6 arms moved in complex patterns as she accessed multiple data streams simultaneously. The Morthacs were renowned throughout the galaxy for their ability to process vast amounts of information, making them ideal for comprehensive species assessments. What she saw in the human data both fascinated and alarmed her. "Show me the military development analysis," she commanded. Holographic displays materialized around her, showing human technological progression over their recent centuries. What she saw defied conventional development theory. When humans had been threatened by global conflict, they had developed weapons capable of destroying their entire planet within decades. When faced with resource scarcity, they had turned to space exploration with a speed that seemed almost frantic. Every challenge had been met not with gradual adaptation, but with revolutionary leaps in capability. They've developed nuclear fusion, advanced artificial intelligence, and genetic manipulation technologies centuries before our models predict they should have been capable of such breakthroughs, Benth continued. But Director, that's not the most concerning aspect. Look at their fiction, their entertainment media, their cultural narratives. The displays shifted to show human creative works, books, films, games, and other forms of entertainment. What? Kalasaw made her primary arms tremor with unease. Humans didn't just create stories about space exploration, they created elaborate narratives about galactic warfare, alien invasion, interstellar empire building, and scenarios that suggested they had been psychologically preparing for galactic-scale conflict for generations. They've been imagining wars with alien civilizations since before they achieved spaceflight, Kayla observed. This level of militant preparation in a pre-contact species is unprecedented. Director, interrupted Dr. Elena Vasquez's voice over the communication channel. I hope we're not interrupting your analysis, but we have a situation developing that we thought you should be aware of. Kala's optical sensors focused on the transmission source. Over the past months, Dr. Vasquez had become the primary human liaison, demonstrating remarkable diplomatic skills and an almost uncanny ability to anticipate Confederation concerns before they were voiced. What kind of situation, Dr. Vasquez? We've detected several large objects entering our solar system at high velocity. Our deep space monitoring network identified them approximately 6 hours ago. They don't match the configuration of any Confederation vessels we've been shown, and they're approaching on trajectories that suggest hostile intent. Kayla's form went rigid. No unauthorized vessels should have been anywhere near this system. The Confederation had placed strict isolation protocols around Sol, while the human evaluation was ongoing. Either someone had violated direct High Council orders, or something far more serious was developing. Benth, bring all sensors online. I want full spectrum analysis of whatever is approaching this system. The sensor data that flooded in made Kala's worst fears seem optimistic. 3 massive vessels, each displaying the distinctive energy signatures of the Kreltak Empire, were indeed approaching Sol at high speed. The Kreltak were a warrior species that existed on the fringe of Confederation space, technically neutral, but known for their aggressive expansion policies and disregard for first contact protocols. Director, Dr. Vasquez's voice carried new urgency. Our analysis suggests those vessels are military in nature and they're powering weapon systems. We're reading multiple energy spikes consistent with targeting arrays. Can your defenses handle 3 Kreltak battlecruisers? Kayla asked, though she already knew the answer. Humanity might be remarkably advanced for their age, but they were still centuries away from matching established galactic military technology. Honestly, probably not, Dr. Vasquez replied with characteristic human directness. But we're not planning to find out. Dr. Chen, would you brief our Confederation friends on Option 7? A new voice joined the transmission, Dr. Sarah Chen, whom Kayla's files identified as humanity's leading expert on theoretical physics and what they called exotic weapon systems. 3 months ago, when you first arrived, we began developing contingency plans for exactly this scenario, Dr. Chen explained. We assumed that first contact would eventually lead to contact with less friendly species, so we've been preparing. Kayla felt a chill run through her nervous system. What kind of preparations? We've weaponized our global communication network, Dr. Chen said matter-of-factly. Every satellite, every ground-based transmitter, every deep space monitoring station has been modified to function as part of a massive phased array system. It's never been tested at full power, but our calculations suggest it should be capable of generating focused electromagnetic pulses strong enough to disable most electronics at ranges up to several million kilometers. The implications hit Kayla like a physical blow. In 3 months, while her team had been conducting psychological evaluations and cultural assessments, humanity had quietly converted their entire planetary infrastructure into a weapon system capable of threatening starships. You turned your global internet into a weapons array? Benth asked, his collective mind struggling to process the concept. Among other things, Dr. Vasquez added, we've also been manufacturing kinetic interceptors using our orbital industrial platforms. And we may have made some modifications to our fusion reactors that our physicists assure me would be very unpleasant for anyone trying to invade our planet. Director, came an urgent transmission from the Analytical Depths Tactical Officer. The Krelthak vessels are entering the outer system. They're broadcasting on military frequencies, demanding that all Confederation vessels withdraw immediately. They claim this system falls under their sphere of influence. Kayla's mind raced through the implications. The Krelthak had clearly learned about humanity through intelligence networks and had decided to claim them before formal Confederation contact could be established. It was a violation of a dozen interstellar treaties, but the Krelthak had always been willing to deal with consequences after the fact. Dr. Vasquez, I need you to understand something, Kayla transmitted. Those Krelthak vessels could render your planet uninhabitable within hours. Even with your modifications, you're dealing with technology centuries more advanced than your own. We understand the odds, Director, came the reply. But we've been preparing for this possibility since we first realized we weren't alone in the galaxy. Humanity doesn't surrender easily. What happened next would be discussed in Confederation strategic academies for generations to come. As the 3 Krelthak battlecruisers moved into attack formation around Earth, humanity implemented what they called the Option 7 protocol. Every satellite in orbit around Earth, every ground-based transmitter, every deep space communication array suddenly synchronized into a single massive phased array system. The electromagnetic pulse that erupted from Earth's surface was unlike anything in recorded military history. Not because of its raw power, which was impressive, but not unprecedented, but because of its precision and coordination. Rather than a simple area effect burst, the human array generated 3 distinct precisely targeted beams that struck each Krelthak vessel simultaneously. The pulses were calibrated not to destroy the ships, but to overload their electronics and disable their weapon systems, while leaving life support intact. Krelthak vessels, Dr. Chen's voice broadcast on all military frequencies. Your weapons are offline and your engines are disabled. You have 2 options. Withdraw from this system immediately using your emergency propulsion systems, or we will demonstrate what our weapons can do when we're not being polite. The response from the lead Krelthak commander was a stream of profanity that the translation system struggled to render into polite terms, but the tactical situation was clear. 3 of the most advanced warships in known space had been neutralized by a species that wasn't supposed to possess interstellar weapons technology. This is impossible, Benth whispered, his collective consciousness reeling. The power coordination alone should have taken years to develop. How did they synchronize that many individual transmitters into a coherent array? Director, Dr. Vasquez's voice carried a note of pride. Remember that global communication network we mentioned? Turns out when you connect every human on the planet into a single information system, you can coordinate a lot more than just phone calls. As if to emphasize the point, the human array fired again, this time demonstrating pinpoint accuracy by destroying a single external antenna on each Krelthak vessel while leaving everything else untouched. The message was clear. They could have destroyed the ships entirely if they had chosen to do so. Krelthak Commander, Dr. Chen transmitted. You now have 30 Earth minutes to begin withdrawal from this system. After that, we will assume hostile intent and respond accordingly. The Krelthak response was swift. All three vessels activated their emergency systems and began limping out of the Sol system, broadcasting warnings about a dangerous new species that had somehow developed advanced military capabilities. In the aftermath, as Kayla struggled to process what she had witnessed, Dr. Vasquez opened a private channel to the Confederation evaluation team. Director Morthax, I think it's time we had a more comprehensive discussion about humanity's place in galactic civilization, she said. We understand that what just happened probably exceeded your expectations for our species' capabilities. Dr. Vasquez, Kayla replied, her voice carefully controlled. What you've just demonstrated suggests that humanity may be the most dangerous species the Confederation has ever encountered. You developed interstellar weapon systems in secret, while maintaining the pretense of peaceful cooperation. Not in secret, Dr. Vasquez corrected. We simply didn't mention capabilities you didn't ask about. Everything we use today was developed from technologies we openly discussed with your team. We just applied them more creatively than you expected. Over the following days, as the full scope of human preparations became clear, Kayla found herself revising every assumption the Confederation had made about species development patterns. Humanity hadn't just been preparing for first contact, they had been preparing for every possible scenario that first contact might bring, including scenarios that more established species had never considered. Their global communication network could indeed function as a weapons array, but it could also coordinate disaster relief efforts involving billions of individuals. Their orbital industrial platforms could manufacture kinetic weapons, but they primarily produced advanced materials for space exploration. Their modified fusion reactors could serve as massive bombs, but they also powered the most efficient clean energy grid ever documented. They've created a civilization that can instantly shift from peaceful cooperation to total war and back again, Kayla reported to Confederation Command. Every system they've built serves dual purposes. Every technology has both constructive and destructive applications. It's as if they've been preparing for galactic citizenship while simultaneously preparing for galactic warfare. The response from High Council was swift and unprecedented. Rather than the typical decades-long integration process, humanity was offered immediate associate membership in the Galactic Confederation, along with full access to interstellar trade networks and technological exchanges. The offer came with one condition: humanity would serve as the Confederation's rapid response force for crisis situations that required their unique combination of adaptability, creativity, and military capability. Welcome to Galactic Civilization, Kayla transmitted to Dr. Vasquez during the formal ceremony. Though I suspect the galaxy is going to have to adapt to you as much as you adapt to it. Dr. Vasquez's response carried that distinctive human combination of humor and determination that Kayla was beginning to recognize. Director, we've been looking forward to this for longer than you know. We have so much to learn from the galactic community, and apparently we have a few things to teach as well. As the analytical depth prepared to escort the first human diplomatic mission to Confederation space, Kayla found herself wondering what other surprises this species might have in store for the galaxy. One thing was certain: the age of predictable first contact scenarios had come to an end. The bipeds from the small blue planet had arrived, and the galaxy would never be the same.